British rock didn't just cross the Atlantic, it took over the world. From smoky London clubs to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 trademark, these bands didn't follow trends, they created them. Every chorus became a cultural earthquake heard on both sides of the ocean. This countdown isn't about hype, it's about numbers, impact, and timeless influence. From the titans of the 60s to the icons of the 80s and beyond, these British bands turned success into history. Let's dive into the 15 names that ruled the charts and reshaped rock forever. T-Rex lit the spark that turned glam rock into a cultural explosion. Fronted by the magnetic Mark Bolan, the band fused heavy riffs with flamboyant style, creating an identity that broke the rules of early 70s rock. Songs like Get It On and Bang a Gong didn't just climb charts, they became the soundtrack of a glitter-soaked revolution. Their sound was simple yet irresistible, blending blues roots with sleek electric grooves. But T-Rex was more than music, it was attitude, a declaration that rock could be flashy, fun, and fearless. Every chord shimmered with confidence, inspiring an entire wave of glam acts that would dominate the decade. Though Bolan's life ended tragically in 1977, his influence never faded. T-Rex laid the foundation for future icons like David Bowie and countless others who embraced theatrical rock. Without them, glam's golden age might never have happened. Could glam rock have existed without T-Rex? Should I stay or should I go? The Clash didn't just play punk, they rewrote its DNA. While other bands thrived on raw chaos, the Clash fused anger with artistry, layering reggae rhythms, funk grooves, and political fire into every track. Songs like London Calling and Should I Stay or Should I Go proved rebellion could sound intelligent and global. Their rise in the late 70s came at a time when rock needed a shock to the system. The Clash delivered that jolt with a conscience, tackling issues from social inequality to identity without losing the urgency of punk energy. They didn't just start fights, they started conversations. Today, their music remains a blueprint for bands who want to challenge the status quo. Decades later, their message feels just as urgent, reminding us that punk was never just noise, it was a revolution. And the Clash were its loudest, smartest voice. Few bands captured the sound of the 80s, like Def Leppard. From the soaring harmonies of Photograph to the thunderous beats of Pour Some Sugar on Me, their music turned arenas into temples of rock. With the release of Hysteria, they didn't just score hits, they redefined what a rock album could be. Their journey wasn't without scars. The band faced near tragedy when drummer Rick Allen lost his arm in an accident, but his return with a customized kit became one of rock's most inspiring comebacks. Def Leppard turned adversity into an anthem of resilience, earning respect beyond the charts. Even now, their blend of power and polish dominates playlists and live tours across the world. For those who crave big hooks and bigger energy, Def Leppard remains an untouchable force. They didn't just make hits, they made history in surround sound. When The Cure emerged from England's post-punk scene, few imagined they would shape a movement. Robert Smith's haunting voice and poetic lyrics carved out a space for introspection in a world obsessed with speed and noise. Tracks like Love Song and Just Like Heaven turned melancholy into magic, making darkness feel beautiful. Their evolution was fearless, shifting from raw minimalism to lush soundscapes without losing their essence. While their look wild hair, smudged eyeliner became iconic, it was the music that truly mesmerized. They gave the misfits and dreamers a soundtrack that felt like home. 4 decades later, The Cure still draws massive crowds, proving that their art transcends trends. They didn't follow the pop machine, they built their own universe and invited us inside. In that twilight world, the music never fades. Genesis began as a progressive rock powerhouse, crafting intricate epics that thrilled fans of complexity. Albums like Foxtrot and Selling England by the Pound showcased musicianship few could match. Their early years were a cathedral of sound, towering with ambition and precision. But when Phil Collins stepped into the spotlight, Genesis reinvented themselves without losing soul. They embraced sleek, radio-friendly hits like Invisible Touch and Land of Confusion, dominating charts worldwide. It was a bold shift that paid off, proving adaptability was their secret weapon. By the 80s, they were untouchable, selling out stadiums and topping lists without abandoning their progressive roots entirely. Genesis showed that evolution isn't betrayal, it's survival at the highest level. And in doing so, they secured a legacy few bands can claim. The Moody Blues turned rock into a symphony. When they released Days of Future Past in 1967, they didn't just add strings, they fused classical grandeur with rock grit. Songs like Nights in White Satin proved that emotion and experimentation could live side by side. Their ambition created a new vocabulary for music, inspiring generations of progressive rock acts. Yet, they never lost touch with melody, crafting timeless ballads that resonated far beyond their psychedelic roots. Each album felt like a journey, a carefully crafted world of sound and story. Though trends shifted, the Moody Blues endured, earning a loyal following and a place in rock history. They didn't settle for being a band, they became architects of a sonic dreamscape, and their vision still echoes through countless modern acts. Fleetwood Mac's story reads like a novel. Drama, heartbreak, redemption, and some of the greatest songs ever written. With Rumors, they turned pain into platinum, selling millions while living through chaos behind the scenes. Every track, from Go Your Own Way to Dreams, bleeds with raw honesty wrapped in shimmering harmonies. Their secret was chemistry, even when relationships fractured. The interplay between Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, and Christine McVie gave their music a rare tension that turned vulnerability into power. No band made dysfunction sound this beautiful. Decades later, their influence stretches from indie pop to modern rock, and Rumors remains a cultural landmark. Fleetwood Mac didn't just survive, they transformed storms into anthems and pain into art that still resonates today. Few bands have worn their scars so gracefully. The Police exploded in the late 70s with a sound that felt like nothing else, tight, sharp, and stylish. Mixing rock, reggae, and pop with Sting's unmistakable voice, they delivered hits like Roxanne and Every Breath You Take that dominated charts worldwide. They weren't just making songs, they were shaping a movement. Their success wasn't overnight. It was earned through relentless touring and an ability to innovate within simplicity. Andy Summers' textured guitar work and Stuart Copeland's precision drumming gave their music a sophistication that elevated them above their peers. Each track felt polished, yet pulsing with life. Though their time together was short, their impact is eternal. The Police proved that less can be more, and that style, substance, and swagger could live in perfect harmony. Their legacy is a lesson in how to make art timeless. When Dire Straits debuted in the late 70s, they cut through the noise of disco and punk with something radical: restraint. Mark Knopfler's finger-picking guitar tone was warm, fluid, and unmistakable, turning songs like Sultans of Swing into instant classics. Their music didn't shout it, whispered with authority. Success soared in the 80s with albums like Brothers in Arms, which delivered global hits and set new records for sales. Knopfler's storytelling and understated virtuosity gave their songs a cinematic feel, making them both intimate and universal. Few bands mastered elegance the way Dire Straits did. Even after disbanding, their influence endures, shaping genres from rock to country. Dire Straits showed that subtlety can conquer stadiums, and that technical mastery means nothing without heart. They didn't just play, they painted with sound. Cream wasn't just a band, they were an earthquake in the world of blues rock. With Eric Clapton on guitar, Jack Bruce on bass, and Ginger Baker on drums, they fused virtuosity with raw power like no one before. Tracks like Sunshine of Your Love and White Room became templates for a new era of guitar-driven rock. Their sound was thunderous yet intricate, blending extended jams with melodic sophistication. Cream turned every performance into a duel of brilliance, each member pushing the others to new heights. This chemistry elevated Clapton to mythical status and gave birth to the concept of the rock supergroup. Though they burned bright and brief, their influence never dimmed. Cream paved the way for hard rock, progressive rock, and even heavy metal, leaving behind a legacy that still inspires guitarists worldwide. They didn't just play music, they redefined what a band could be. When Deep Purple unleashed smoke on the water, they wrote more than a riff, they wrote rock history. Their combination of classical precision and raw aggression forged a new sound, laying the foundation for hard rock and heavy metal. Albums like Machine Head didn't just sell, they shaped generations of players. What set them apart was their fearless experimentation. From symphonic collaborations to blistering live performances, Deep Purple thrived on pushing boundaries while delivering anthems that shook stadiums. Songs like Highway Star and Child in Time showcase speed, skill, and soul in perfect harmony. Even after countless lineup changes, their spirit never faded. Deep Purple's fingerprints are on every heavy riff that came after them. They weren't just part of the rock movement, they were its architects, chiseling out the sound of power. The Who exploded onto the scene with a sound as defiant as their attitude. They weren't content with 3-minute singles, they built rock operas like Tommy and Quadrophenia, proving that rock could tell stories as grand as any theater. Their shows were chaos and art rolled into one, guitars smashed, amps ablaze, energy unchained. They captured the voice of a restless generation, screaming rebellion through anthems like My Generation and Baba O'Reilly. Pete Townshend's windmill riffs, Roger Daltrey's volcanic vocals, and Keith Moon's feral drumming turned every track into a detonation. They didn't just break rules, they invented new ones. Decades later, The Who's influence ripples through punk, alternative, and even modern pop. Their legacy is proof that raw energy, when channeled through genius, can become timeless art. The Who didn't play it safe, they played it loud, and history still echoes with their roar. Pink Floyd didn't just make albums, they built worlds. With The Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall, they transformed rock into an immersive experience of sound and vision. Every track was a concept, every note a piece of a larger universe. Their music blurred the line between art and performance, using technology and storytelling to explore themes of time, alienation, and human struggle. David Gilmour's soaring guitar solos and Roger Waters' lyrical depth made every album a landmark in rock history. Few bands dared to dream this big, and even fewer delivered. Decades later, their influence is everywhere, from progressive rock to film soundtracks. Pink Floyd didn't chase trends, they created them, proving that ambition could conquer the charts and the imagination at the same time. They weren't just a band, they were a phenomenon that still resonates like an endless echo. When Led Zeppelin arrived, they didn't just play rock, they reinvented it. Mixing blues grit with folk textures and an epic sense of scale, they forged a sound that was heavy yet deeply musical. Stairway to Heaven, Whole Lotta Love, and Kashmir aren't just songs, they're monuments carved in sound. Their chemistry was volcanic. Jimmy Page's riffs, Robert Plant's soaring vocals, John Paul Jones' versatility, and John Bonham's thunderous drumming created a force that could shake arenas to their foundations. Every album was a chapter in the gospel of rock power.
I don't think so.
Even without singles dominating radio, Led Zeppelin conquered the world, becoming one of the best-selling and most revered bands of all time. Their influence stretches from metal to folk, proving that their innovation was limitless. They didn't just set the bar, they built it sky high. No band changed music and culture like the Beatles. From their early days of infectious pop to the groundbreaking experimentation of Sgt. Pepper's and Abbey Road, they reinvented themselves in the entire industry with every record. They weren't following trends, they were creating them, one masterpiece at a time. Their songwriting was unmatched, blending complexity with accessibility in a way no band has replicated. From the harmonies of yesterday to the boldness of A Day in the Life, the Beatles turned the studio into an instrument and pop into an art form. Every album was a revolution, reshaping what music could mean. 6 decades later, their influence remains untouchable. They didn't just dominate charts, they rewrote the DNA of modern music, inspiring every artist who came after. The Beatles aren't just number one, they're the reason this list exists. Can any band ever rival the Beatles' legacy? From the raw power of The Who to the cinematic brilliance of Pink Floyd, from the glam spark of T-Rex to the unstoppable genius of the Beatles, these bands didn't just make hits, they built empires of sound. They didn't follow the future, they invented it. Their echoes still shake the walls of music history, proving that true legends never fade, they only grow louder with time. If this countdown reminded you why British rock changed the world, hit subscribe and join us for more journeys into the anthems that define generations. Because rock isn't just music, it's immortality in sound.